TikTok has become a global phenomenon, a vibrant stage for dance trends, catchy sounds, inside jokes, and viral challenges that spread across the world in a matter of hours. On the surface, it's colorful, playful, and addictive, an endless stream of entertainment that feels lighthearted and harmless. But beneath this glittering facade lies a darker undercurrent, a hidden layer of content that's unsettling, eerie, and at times, downright terrifying. I know I have been on many sides of TikTok, and some I would rather forget than remember, especially the ones that keep me up late at night for many nights. Follow my Instagram, like and subscribe, join my Discord, all that good stuff, and let's get into some of these disturbing things on TikTok. First, I'm going to talk about sleep paralysis skits. Sleep paralysis is already one of the most unnerving human experiences. You wake up, but you can't move, and sometimes your brain fills in the gaps with terrifying hallucinations. I can vouch for that, having a few cases of sleep paralysis before as a kid, mainly due to the headache painkillers I had been given, where at one point my normal dream suddenly became sleep paralysis, to the point me falling in the dream felt like shocking in my paralysis state. Scared the hell out of me when I was finally able to move again. Stopped taking those meds and asked for more ones after that point. Luckily, haven't had anything like that happen to me again since. TikTok creators have tapped into this fear by simulating the experience through short, immersive skits. These videos often use a first-person POV, so you feel as though you're the one trapped in bed. This, with the help of eerie sound design, low droning hums, distorted whispers, or sudden heavy breathing, and a shadowy figure creeps into frame. Some creators lean into pure horror, using realistic prosthetics or makeup to embody shadow people or demonic figures that loom at the edge of the bed. Others inject dark humor, like the infamous Polish sleep paralysis demon meme, where the terrifying entity is replaced with something hilarious. That mix of tones is kind of interesting because whenever you see one of these videos pop up, you never quite know if the clip is going to make you laugh, or shiver, or make you stay awake longer than you planned on. From this angle, these skits show how TikTok users creatively visualize intangible experiences like sleep paralysis, making the invisible visible. But from a commentary perspective, it's easy to see why people comment things like, "I can't unsee this." Even when it's just a joke, the combination of intimacy, helplessness, and uncanny imagery taps into something primal, the fear of being trapped with your own mind when it turns against you. Next, I'm going to talk about hashtag Skinwalker Challenge. On TikTok, the hashtag Skinwalker Challenge has become a viral trend where users claim to have encountered skinwalkers, shape-shifting creatures rooted in Navajo and wider Native American folklore. These videos usually take place at night, often shot from the safety of a car, a porch, or deep in the woods. The camera shakes slightly as the creator narrates the experience, while strange sounds, distorted voices, footsteps, or unidentifiable noises echo in the background. Some videos even include subtle visual distortions like distant figures moving unnaturally, which heightens the feeling that something is lurking just beyond the frame. Many of these clips draw on traditional folklore, bringing centuries-old legends into a modern digital context. From a documentary perspective, they function as digital campfire stories. People are adapting oral traditions into short-form horror narratives, making old myths accessible to a global audience. However, critics point out that this trend can verge on cultural appropriation, as it often strips the stories of their original context and spiritual significance. For people who aren't as exposed to topics like this, the realism in these videos is what makes these so unnerving to them. Shaky camera work, ambient nighttime sounds, the subtle editing tricks create a sense of immediacy, making viewers question what is staged and what might be real. Some people believe wholeheartedly in these creatures, while others dismiss them as clever editing and storytelling. Regardless, the combination of folklore, immersive filming techniques, and TikTok's algorithm pushing content to curious viewers results in clips that are both fascinating and deeply unsettling, leaving many to ask themselves, even for a moment, what if this isn't just a story? I can say wholeheartedly I used to, and still am at times to this day, a person who somewhat believes in folklore such as this. I feel like this is real out there somewhere. If you think about it, if you don't want to draw a lot of attention to yourself, like if you're a skinwalker, you wouldn't want to. They'd like want to keep their truth hidden. That would explain why they don't get seen that much, let alone caught being able to blend in well enough to not be spotted and to be found to be taken somewhere only to be studied like most people do when faced with the unknown. They try to study it and stuff, so I get why skinwalkers wouldn't want to be found. Next, I want to talk about creepy TikTok live auctions. Among the more unsettling corners of TikTok are rumors of live streams that resemble auctions of children or young adults, where viewers send gifts, coins, or donations as if bidding on the streamer. Now this one is pretty disturbing even though it's probably fake, but I guess viewer discretion advised for this section. In these videos, the individuals on a camera, often like young and appearing vulnerable, may stand silently, perform small tasks, or respond minimally to chat interactions. And I want to say again, these are fake. What I'm showing on screen is fake. What I'm talking about is fake. This is fiction, okay? The combination of passive presentation and active donation-driven chat can create a disturbingly transactional atmosphere, where attention, validation, and gifts feel commodified. TikTok has consistently denied that any organized trafficking occurs and maintains that these are simply monetized live chats taken out of context. From a documentary standpoint, these videos can be seen as a cautionary example of the platform's live gifting economy. Users, incentivized by virtual rewards, may participate in ways that inadvertently encourage bad behavior. The system itself can blur lines between playful interaction, social influence, and commodification of human presence. From one's perspective, this imagery is deeply unsettling, like from someone just scrolling on TikTok. The chat often becomes a competitive space, with viewers vying for recognition through increasingly extravagant virtual gifts. Watching rows of usernames essentially throw money at someone on camera can even make casual viewers uneasy because it distorts a familiar social exchange into something objectifying and performative and creepy. The scenario obviously raises questions about consent, boundaries, and the psychological effects on both streamers and viewers. And even if it is fake, even if nothing illegal is occurring, the visual and emotional impact of these live streams lingers. It's like a reminder of how digital platforms can unintentionally normalize disturbing power dynamics under the guise of entertainment. I personally haven't come across live auctions, but more so lives catching predators and getting them caught in the terms of a TikTok live. However, once I remember this very well, it was so random and it kept happening for a few days on TikTok a while ago. So you would search for a type of videos up, and at first it was normal, and you looked up phrases like audios and edits and stuff, and you'd be watching normal stuff, but then all of a sudden the next thing you know, the rest of the videos are completely unrelated and showing bad things like this. I remember this one video so well because it scarred me for life. For one moment I was watching an edit of like I Wanna Party from the movie Rio, and then the next thing I know, I am full on watching a woman breastfeeding her kid, full front chest on view. And editor, please do not include that in this video. Next, I want to talk about alleged crime confession clips. On TikTok, some viral videos appear to feature creators confessing to real-life crimes. These clips often employ dim lighting, hushed voices, and casual delivery, creating a sense of intimacy and immediacy. The confessions can range from minor thefts to violent assaults, or sometimes they're dramatized reenactments using drawings, memes, or like stylized visuals. The deliberate ambiguity, whether real or staged, is what makes these videos so chilling. While many of these clips are clearly intended as shock value content or horror roleplay, a small subset includes specific details that are difficult to ignore. References to dates, locations, or identifiable victims can make viewers question the authenticity. And in rare cases, authorities have investigated because of the information revealed. The blurred line between performance and genuine confession demonstrates the dangers of viral platforms. Something can start as a meme and then inadvertently expose actual disturbing truths. From a regulation perspective, these videos illustrate a darker facet of social media culture, where anonymity, performance, and the hunger for virality collide. TikTok's algorithm amplifies engagement, sometimes promoting content that shocks or unsettles simply because it captures attention. Whilst from one's perspective, the emotional effect is intense. There's an underlying tension between fascination and fear, as viewers scroll past these clips knowing that millions of strangers are just a swipe away from incriminating or horrifying content. The unsettling takeaway is how quickly entertainment, horror, and reality can merge in the hands of a digital audience, leading viewers to wrestle with doubt, curiosity, and moral unease all at once. Personally, I feel like most of these videos, such as this, are just reeling of old unsolved cases or just lies in order to get attention. However, for the ones that are real, I believe more regulation should be in place to catch videos that may seem to be real to be taken down before a mass number of users see it, especially with children who use the app and they're able to see it, and you never know what they might come across or by mistake, like look up, due to suggestions, especially when someone else's phone is being used like a parent's or a sibling's, where it's an adult's phone. Next, I'm gonna talk about doll accounts. At first glance, doll accounts on TikTok might seem harmless, even wholesome. Entire profiles are dedicated to showcasing collections of dolls, dressing them in new outfits, or staging miniature scenarios with intricate backdrops. In many cases, these creators are simply hobbyists or collectors who use TikTok as a way to share their passion. However, for many viewers, these accounts quickly cross into the uncanny, unsettling territory, because dolls, no matter how carefully designed, often carry a pretty eerie air with them. The disturbing edge comes from how these accounts are presented. Some creators film their dolls in dim lighting, they use jittery camera angles, or they pair the visuals with haunting audio tracks that just amplify the creep factor. Even without intentional horror elements, certain dolls, with their wide, glassy eyes, rigid expressions, or unnervingly realistic features, trigger an instinctive unease in viewers. This is tied to the uncanny valley effect. When something looks almost human but not quite, our brains register discomfort. Dolls, especially older or vintage ones, sit directly in this uncanny valley space. From my perspective, doll accounts can be seen as a modern continuation of a long cultural fascination with dolls as both toys and objects of fear. Horror films have long weaponized dolls, think Annabelle or Child's Play, because their blank expressions and frozen stares make them ideal vessels for projected dread. On TikTok, this cultural baggage means that even the most innocent doll accounts are received through a filter of unease, whether the creator intends it or not. Some creators leaned into this reaction deliberately, building entire narratives where dolls are treated as if they were alive. Short skits may show dolls turning their heads, appearing in different positions between cuts, or speaking through distorted voiceovers. These videos blur the line between play and horror roleplay, leaving viewers unsettled as they wonder how much of the movement is editing versus something else. Even when the intent is a parody or performance art, the result can feel like a glimpse into a haunted nursery. However, I also think that what makes doll accounts especially unsettling is the unpredictability. You might stumble across one while casually scrolling, expecting lighthearted content, only to be met with a porcelain face staring blankly back at you in eerie silence. And then combined with TikTok's algorithm, these accounts can surface seemingly at random, startling viewers who weren't looking for horror content at all. This unexpected encounter with something so uncanny often leaves a stronger impact than explicitly scary videos, because the unease is subtle and harder to define. Next, I'm gonna talk about missing persons found footage edits. One of the eeriest trends to circulate on TikTok is the editing and re-uploading of missing person footage. Either CCTV clips, police recordings, or even final social media posts, often paired with ominous music and captions suggesting something more sinister happened. At first glance, it seems like awareness raising, but the way these videos are presented blurs the line between true crime and horror entertainment. Scrolling past, you might suddenly see grainy security camera footage of someone walking down a hallway for the last time, edited with a slow zoom and whispers layered over it. The effect is chilling, especially when paired with comments like, "Look in the background at 13 seconds," or "Their eyes look wrong here." Many of these videos get millions of views not because of the actual case details, but because people treat them like puzzles to solve or horror films to dissect. Oh fuck, guys, that's my fault, guys. My iPhone alarm is going off. Oopsies. Anyway, where was I? Users pause, speculate, and argue about what really happened, even when the case is ongoing and unresolved. This turns real tragedies into viral mysteries, entertainment packaged in the guise of raising awareness. Sometimes creators will even fabricate final footage using actors or AI, mixing it in with real clips. For casual viewers, it becomes nearly impossible to tell which are genuine and which are staged, creating an unsettling atmosphere of uncertainty. In my eyes, these edits reveal the strange digital afterlife of tragedy, how a disappearance doesn't just live in police files or in news reports, but gets reshaped and recirculated as content for an endless scroll. But from a commentary perspective, it's deeply disturbing. Real families are grieving, searching for answers, and meanwhile strangers are remixing their loved ones' final moments into spooky clickbait for likes and follows. The algorithm rewards this kind of content because it hooks attention. People can't look away from mystery or horror even when it's very real, and that's what makes this trend one of the most unsettling on TikTok. It's not just about fear of the unknown, but about how quickly someone's worst nightmare can be turned into viral entertainment. Next, I'm gonna talk about AI-generated influencers. Not me, guys, I promise. This is my real voice. Another eerie corner of TikTok that's been growing rapidly is the rise of AI-generated influencers, accounts where the person you're watching isn't real at all. These give you the same feel as those doll TikToks that you may come across that we mentioned earlier. At first glance, these figures look like ordinary creators. They post dances, lip sync to trending audio, and even interact with their audience through comments. But the longer you watch, the more you notice something uncanny. Their faces don't quite move like a human's should. Their smiles linger just a little too long, or their eyes never seem to blink at the right time. Some of these accounts are open about being AI-driven, promoting themselves as virtual influencers, but others are deliberately ambiguous, leaving viewers to wonder if they're looking at a heavily filtered human or a fully generated persona. What makes them especially unsettling is how normal their content often is. Instead of being presented as surreal or experimental, they mimic everyday TikTok culture, outfit of the day clips, cooking tutorials, even live streams where they, quote, react to comments. The ordinary presentation wrapped around something artificial creates a deep uncanny valley effect. These AI influencers show the merging of technology and identity, which I personally think provides a glimpse into a future where real and artificial personalities are indistinguishable online. But from a commentary angle, it's genuinely disturbing. People are building parasocial relationships with avatars that don't even exist, pouring time, money, and even emotional investment into someone who isn't even real. And as these AI accounts get better at mimicking human flaws, a stutter here, a mistimed laugh there, the line between authenticity and fabrication blurs even further. On a platform like TikTok, where relatability is everything, that blur can feel less like entertainment and more like an identity crisis for the entire app. Next, I'm going to talk about mourning exploitation streams. One of the darkest corners of TikTok is the phenomenon of mourning exploitation. Live streams or posts where people showcase tragedies, deaths, or grieving families for news and donations. At first glance, some of these clips appear to be heartfelt memorials, like slideshows of photos with sad music, but others push into something far more unsettling. Live streams of people crying after losing a loved one, sometimes even in real time, with chat comments egging them on or viewers sending virtual gifts in exchange for continued emotional breakdown. In some cases, creators exploit tragedies that aren't even their own. Videos have circulated where people use stolen obituary photos or stock images of funerals, claiming a connection to the deceased just to farm sympathy and donations. Even darker are the live streams that seem to deliberately prolong grief, where the streamer continually revisits dramatic details of a death because they know the algorithm rewards engagement and gifts. The chat often resembles a grotesque mix of comfort and voyeurism, with strangers competing to be the most supportive while others doubt the story's authenticity, accusing the streamer of faking loss for clout. This trend reflects the commodification of grief in the digital age, where personal mourning has become content, which makes me sick to my stomach, where people's pain becomes the use for likes and followers. Alongside that, it's deeply disturbing to watch raw, fragile human suffering repackaged into a monetized performance. One swipe away from a dance challenge or a makeup tutorial. It raises a horrifying question. In a world where every emotion can be streamed and sold, is there any part of human life or the human existence left untouched by the algorithm? Next, I'm going to talk about one of the most disturbing ones in this video, and again, I want to make clear, this is on TikTok. This is something that I do not condone. I am exposing it, I am talking about it in a way of not condoning it. I am making fun of it. I am criticizing it. This is something that I do not support, okay? And my editor will probably have to blur most of this footage or not show much at all, because this is truly disgusting, and I just want to make sure that I am not looking like I am condoning this at all. But the next topic is animal cruelty disguised as rescue videos. One of the most unsettling TikTok trends is the rise of so-called animal rescue content. At first glance, these clips appear wholesome. Someone finding an injured dog, cat, or wild animal, nursing it back to health, and winning millions of views for their compassion. But many of these accounts have been accused of manufacturing cruelty, deliberately putting animals in dangerous or painful situations just so they can film the rescue later. Viewers have pointed out inconsistencies. The same animals appearing injured in multiple videos, oddly staged, quote, accidents, or perfectly timed rescues that seem too convenient to be genuine. The disturbing part isn't just the cruelty, but how it's hidden beneath a layer of positivity. Audiences share and praise these videos, thinking they're supporting kindness, when in reality they might be endorsing abuse. The comments are often filled with users thanking the creator for saving the animal, while critics who point out the suspicious details are drowned out. It's a form of exploitation that thrives precisely because it masquerades as compassion. Even more troubling is how lucrative this content can be. These staged rescues rack up millions of views, sponsorships, and donations. In some cases, creators allegedly cycle through dozens of animals, injuring or neglecting them off camera just to create the next viral miracle save. The algorithm rewards the emotional highs of watching suffering turn into relief, even if that suffering was orchestrated in the first place. This cycle creates an endless loop of cruelty for profit, all while wearing the mask of goodness. From a wider perspective, this trend exposes one of TikTok's darkest paradoxes. The platform blurs the line between genuine and staged so thoroughly that viewers can't always tell the difference. And when cruelty hides behind the guise of kindness, it becomes even more insidious. Watching these videos, you're left wondering, am I witnessing a heartwarming act of care? Or am I complicit in applauding someone's abuse? Next, I'm gonna talk about TikTok seance and spirit summoning lives. One of the eeriest corners of TikTok Live involves creators hosting what they call digital seances. These streams often feature a darkened room, candles, Ouija boards, and EVP apps, which stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon, running while viewers flood the chat with questions for the spirits. On the surface, it may seem like harmless paranormal roleplay, but the further you look, the stranger it gets. Some streams include sudden knocks, distorted voices breaking through static, or objects moving slightly on camera, convincing enough that entire audiences freeze in silence, unsure if they've just witnessed a staged trick or something genuinely unexplainable. The unsettling part is how interactive these seances become. Viewers send donations to have their questions asked directly to the spirits, or they request the host to call out their dead loved one's name. This creates an economy around grief and belief, where people desperate for closure might spend large sums just to feel like their loved one answered them through a phone screen. It's entertainment, but it also toys with deeply vulnerable emotions, making the whole thing feel manipulative at best and exploitative at worst. Some of these lives spiral into even darker territory. There are reports of audiences encouraging increasingly dangerous behavior, asking creators to perform rituals, cut themselves, or sit in total darkness for hours. This gamification of the occult, where paranormal proof is pushed to extremes to keep viewers hooked, mirrors the logic of other TikTok trends. The algorithm rewards escalation. What begins as a few flickering candles might end with someone alone in the woods chanting into their phone while thousands watch. From my own view on things like spiritual summons, where I believe in things like this to an extent, these lives represent the digital reinvention of an old tradition. Seances and ghost hunting repackaged for the age of live streams. However, they also reveal something more disturbing, a mass audience gathered in real time, daring someone to cross boundaries with the unseen. Whether you believe in spirits or not, the sight of thousands of usernames urging someone to go deeper into the dark is unnerving, as if TikTok itself becomes a kind of summoning circle. Next, I'm going to talk about blackout and choking challenges. On TikTok, some users participate in trends where they intentionally hold their breath, choke themselves, or restrict airflow in a pursuit of brief euphoria, dizziness, or hallucination. What might appear on video as harmless or even something humorous and like a challenge is, in reality, a dangerous form of self-asphyxiation. And I've watched enough BoJack Horseman to know that that's not a good idea. Let me know in the comments if you get that reference. Restricting oxygen to the brain for even a few seconds can result in fainting, seizures, or permanent brain damage, and in extreme cases, it can be fatal. These challenges spread rapidly, particularly among younger users who may not fully grasp the life-threatening risks. Don't do this shit, guys, please. The algorithm-driven nature of TikTok amplifies this danger. Clips of people performing these challenges are often looped and shared widely, creating a viral cycle that normalizes the behavior. Parents, educators, and medical professionals have raised serious concerns, and reports have even linked several injuries and deaths directly to these trends. Some families have even filed lawsuits demanding stricter monitoring and intervention from the platform. From an adult's perspective, these challenges are an example of how viral culture can encourage risky behavior, illustrating the dark side of online trends when peer pressure and algorithmic amplification intersect. Whilst from anyone's normal perspective, the sheer recklessness is disturbing. It's alarming how quickly something so deadly can be packaged as entertainment, and how herd mentality can lead individuals, often impressionable teenagers, to attempt life-threatening acts just to gain likes, views, or social validation. The phenomenon raises uncomfortable questions about the responsibility of platforms like TikTok and the psychology of viral influence in the digital age. And to which I completely agree, and I'm glad all videos of this trend are removed after a lawsuit about the trend. And I mean, first off, I can't bring my own head around how and why someone would come out with a challenge such as this, knowing how dangerous it can be. And secondly, to the people who even thought it was a good enough of an idea to try out, like if I saw one video of it and many after that where the signs of the trend were clearly dangerous, I would not go out of my way to try it out, let alone having medical issues and trying that out. I would rather eat sand than do this trend. So no guys, please don't go eat sand either, but don't do these trends. They're bad, okay? I guess I need to tell you this, they're bad, dude. Listen to Poi and don't do them. While some of these videos thrive on shock value, others tap into folklore, fears, or very real dangers. And the most disturbing part, you never know when one of them will suddenly appear in your feed. It's this unpredictability, the blend of harmless entertainment with flashes of horror, exploitation, or tragedy that makes TikTok both fascinating and frightening. Whether you see the app as a creative playground or a digital abyss depends entirely on what the algorithm decides to serve you. But one thing's sure, TikTok reflects humanity in real time, the good, the bad, and the truly disturbing. If you found this deep dive interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more explorations into the unsettling corners of internet culture. And remember, the next time you're scrolling at 3 a.m., you might stumble across something you can't unsee. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Good night, and sweet dreams.